All right, hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. I wanted to send this out to you guys in case you weren't here last Wednesday. We are going to be trying to do some more virtual nutrition talks moving forward. So if you guys do have any maybe questions, comments, concerns, or maybe ideas moving forward, just shoot me a text or me and Daniel an email. But I would like you guys to start off by thinking about this question. What area of your performance are you looking to improve? If you would like to go ahead and write that down or just make a mental note while we move forward in this presentation, I just want you to think about maybe where we want to apply these tips I'll be giving you. Be discussing a few top ones to help you guys fuel for your performance. But first off, just to give you a good intro, at HSN or at First Coast Nutrition, we've partnered with HSN to support our clients using a framework that's guided, tested, and proven. We believe that something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated. So that's why we focus on a simple habit-based approach. As you can see, we've got those 6 pillars of our habit-based approach up here. It consists of nutrition, stress, sleep, exercise, your support system, and your lifestyle. So working one-on-one with that nutrition coach, we'll go through all of those things, see where we can optimize your daily routines, and see where we can kind of pull some low-hanging fruit, help you guys get going in the right direction. But I want to ask you guys if you've ever realized that your nutrition choices are altered when you're stressed or when you're tired. Notice in the circle, all of these things interchange. So they all interlock, they all work together or oppose. So that's why we address a holistic approach, focusing on nutrition, but also stress management, sleep, mindset support, and lifestyle. So let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, which is the importance of fueling. It's crucial for everyday athletes, especially elite athletes. It provides the necessary energy to power workouts, improve endurance, and aid in your muscle recovery. Have you ever started a workout and quickly realized that you didn't have enough gas left in the tank to finish it? You hit a wall and you're wondering why the clock is moving so slow. Odds are you did the workout last week, 25.2, or you have experienced that feeling before. So let's talk about energy, your recovery, hydration, and ultimately the function that fuel provides in performance for your workouts. So first off is going to be energy. Proper nutrition provides the fuel your body needs to perform at its peak during exercise. And we all know this, carbohydrates are the primary energy source for muscles. Consuming carbs before and during prolonged exercise can help maintain blood sugar levels, delay fatigue, and improve performance. So let's look at what types of carbs are going to provide the best energy sources. Simple carbs such as fruit, stuff like unsweetened applesauce packets you could use there, or a pretty ripe banana, or sports drinks like Fit Aid. This does not mean that you should be supplementing with intra-workout carb protein powders, whatever, during your CrossFit class, right? The key word here is prolonged exercise. So maybe if you're fueling for the gate, or if you're training for maybe a half marathon, maybe a marathon, Ironman, that's where you want to be implementing those intra-workout carbs. We'll also think about not simple, but complex carbs, such as oatmeal, rice, potatoes, beans, legumes. So by understanding how carbs fuel your body, you can more effectively tailor your nutrition to match your workout demands. That leads to higher performance and quicker recovery and improved fitness outcomes. You'll also notice that you are going to be less sore. That is something I would like to get into a little bit later. And that is also something that I do hear from my clients after working with me for a hot second. They notice that the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, is a little bit less pronounced. That being said, this is an individual thing. Some bodies do like certain carbs over others. So listen to your body during exercise based off of what carbs you fueled with. So the next factor is recovery. Recovery is muscle repair and regrowth. It leads to protein's essential role in building and repairing muscle tissue after workouts, energy replenishment, and most importantly, restoring hormone balance. Recovery helps prevent injury, helps reduce stress, increase motivation and focus, and it improves performance and speed. If you recover when you start a workout program, Daniel and I will tell you guys, do not start CrossFit coming in 5 times a week in a row, right? You don't want to crash and burn like that. You want to come in maybe twice, maybe 3 times max a week with some time to rest in between those sessions. It does prevent injury. It prevents you from burning out, right? You want to keep your motivation going. You want to make sure that you take some time down. So recovery, it's an essential component for any successful training or performance plan, and a well-balanced diet with a whole foods focused. Rest, stress management, and hydration are a few other key recovery strategies. If you need help figuring out how to recover, or if you're feeling guilty on your off days, just please talk to myself or Daniel. You and I could kind of sit down, chat about it, see what we can do there. So next, we just did talk about this hydration. It also plays a vital role in the importance of fueling for those activities. Dehydration can negatively impact your workout by up to 20%. Water and electrolytes, they're fundamental for maintaining fluid balance and preventing dehydration. So drink plenty of fluids throughout the day, especially in the hours before, during, and after exercise. Replace your electrolytes lost through sweat, especially during intense and prolonged workouts, right? So we'll chat about cognitive function really quick. Adequate nutrition supports brain function. It improves your focus, concentration, and reaction time during exercise, but also during other aspects of your day-to-day, right? So it does pour over. Certain nutrients play a crucial role in the production of your neurotransmitters. So they're chemical messengers that transmit signals between your brain cells. Adequate intake of these nutrients supports optimal brain function and cognitive performance. You guys know this single-handedly. We do high skill work, and we also do stuff like Olympic lifting, gymnastics, all that kind of stuff that needs coordination, right? So you want to be supporting yourself by getting in those nutrients, those electrolytes. While this can be easily overlooked in regard to its importance of fueling, it is crucial to note due to many sports requiring technique and skill in executing those performances, what I just said. So those high skill workouts, ring muscle ups, toe to bar, snatches, cleans, all that fun stuff. So let's talk about poor fueling. So we know why it's important, but let's talk about the downsides if you're not doing it right. So under eating, it can lead to fatigue, muscle weakness, decreased endurance, underperforming, but also injury. So according to research in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research in 2016, athletes who fail to meet their protein needs are at a higher risk of injury, particularly during high intensity training or long duration activities. Protein helps repair damaged muscle fibers and build new ones. Without sufficient protein, muscles weaken over time, making them more prone to injury. I would like to add another something in there. Protein helps repair damaged muscle fibers by being fueled by carbohydrates, right? They won't be able to do anything else unless they are fueled by carbs. So what I like to tell my clients is to have your non-starchy carbs with your protein on your plate and then have your starchy carbs at the end. So fueling or eating in order will help you fuel properly. Dehydration and electrolyte imbalances can also increase the risk of muscle cramps, other injuries, right? Tendonitis, that kind of stuff. Not only can insufficient protein intake hinder muscle repair and growth, injury prevention, but it can also impair recovery time, which is essential if there's an event or competition on the horizon, right? You don't want to come to a 2-day competition and burn out on the first day. Right, so we'll talk about how we can mitigate that. So the first thing is going to be carb loading. This is more likely or not before a competition, before a lifting meet, whatnot. So consuming adequate carbohydrates in the days before a workout or competition helps replenish your glycogen stores in your muscles. It's particularly important for endurance athletes. Again, Ironman, the gate. Studies have shown that carbohydrate loading can significantly improve endurance performance in activities lasting longer than 90 minutes. All right, so we want to know how we obtain it and store it. All right, so let's talk about glycogen storage. Glycogen is the storage form of the carbohydrates that we eat, and glycogen is stored mostly in the liver and in your muscle tissue. So in fact, glycogen accounts for about 6% of our liver's total weight and only about 1 to 2% of our muscle tissue. The actual amount of glycogen storage a person has depends on factors such as how much you exercise and how much skeletal muscle mass you have. The glycogen stored in the muscles is primarily used to fuel the muscle tissue, while the glycogen in the liver is distributed throughout your body when needed. When someone uses up those glycogen stores, they experience fatigue, which can be described as hitting a wall. In order to push that wall a little bit, that's when we carb load. Carb loading is a strategy often used by endurance athletes where you increase your carb intake in the days leading up to an event. The idea is to saturate your muscles with the glycogen so you can perform at your best during those long events. This involves eating more carbohydrates in the 3 to 7 days before an event while reducing exercise intensity. As I mentioned on the previous slide, athletes can benefit from having a meal before the workout, which leads to tip number 2, which is pre-workout meal. What if you are an endurance athlete and maybe you are and you're regularly doing some cross training or just working out for life? That's most of y'all, right? This is where your pre-workout meal comes into play. A balanced meal 2 to 4 hours before exercise provides sustained energy, right? It includes a combination of carbohydrates and protein. You want to keep fats and fiber low to avoid digestive issues during exercise. For a lot of folks, I do understand that fat can also make you feel a little bit sluggish, right? Personally, it does for me and it does for a couple of my clients. Avoid it altogether. You won't have to risk that. And eating carbs 1 to 3 hours before a workout can help ensure that you have readily available glycogen for energy. I hope these are starting to see how these pieces are coming together. So some examples of a pre-workout meal would be oatmeal with banana, protein powder and nuts, chicken with sweet potato and green beans, or a smoothie with fruit, yogurt, and protein powder. So while some of these examples do contain fiber, they're relatively low in fats. So that can take the longest to digest out of any macronutrient. So if you have a little bit of fiber, no fat, you are good to go. Some of us, this 5 a.m.ers, and we did have a couple questions when I did this live. If you struggle with feeling nauseated if you eat before a workout, try liquid sources such like a smoothie, an applesauce with protein powder, non-fat Greek yogurt with berries. I tend to find that that sits pretty light on the stomach, or even just electrolytes, like those element packets. If you could get your hands on those, or maybe the noon tablets, something with electrolytes in it that can still help those processes happen. So here are some additional tips to prevent nausea and ensure that you are adequately fueled. So again, smaller meals or snacks that are easier to digest. Try eating 90 minutes to 2 hours prior instead of maybe 20, 45 minutes prior to exercise. Avoid dairy. It is inflammatory. Dairy products are naturally inflammatory to the human body. So if you're sensitive to bloating or any kind of GI discomfort, stay away from milk, stay away from dairy. Avoid spicy foods. And sometimes nausea does result from dehydration, like we talked about earlier. Drink an electrolyte packet, drink elements, something like that to help those processes continue to happen. Moving forward with that, pre-exercise, I want you guys to be drinking 16 to 20 ounces of water around 2 to 3 hours before activity, at least, bare minimum. I see you guys walking in with your half-gallon water bottles. I think that's fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. But we want to aim to drink at least 8 ounces of water 30 minutes to an hour before your workout, right? So we talked about 2 to 3 hours prior, around 16 to 20 ounces, like a bottle of water. But we want to drink an additional 8 ounces, maybe half a bottle of water, 30 minutes to an hour before your workout. There is a formula to calculate how much water you should be drinking based off of how much sweat your body probably lost. But we do want to rehydrate with water or a sports drink containing electrolytes. And we want to aim for at least 16 to 24 ounces for every pound lost during exercise. If you do sweat a lot, it's a good idea to replace electrolytes lost through that sweat. Another idea for electrolytes is some sea salt with lemon. That could also work too. But what you want to be getting back into your body, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Okay, those big three. So you want to examine the importance of proper hydration. It helps support muscle function, energy production, and endurance. Water helps regulate body temperature during exercise. It prevents overheating, which is significant for those summer months. Did you know that hydrated cells can better absorb and transport nutrients like glucose and electrolytes for energy? This can help with blood sugar regulation, digestion, nutrient absorption, and increase energy. So, when considering performance and recovery, even a mild dehydration of 1 to 2% body weight loss can impair strength, endurance, and cognitive function. Oh, unfortunately, it could lead to some muscle cramps, fatigue, dizziness, none of the good stuff. Lastly, make sure to skip the alcohol. Alcohol is a diuretic, causing your body to lose more fluids than it takes in, leads to immediate dehydration. Drinking water before, during, and after consuming alcohol can counteract its dehydrating effects, but not all the way. Make sure that you avoid it completely if you are planning on performing at your highest level. If you're drinking alcohol with the knowledge that you will be working out the next day or involved in an insurance event, be sure to replenish with electrolytes such as coconut water to restore balance and prevent muscle cramps or fatigue. So by being proactive about hydration, you can minimize the negative impact alcohol has on your body and feel better the next day. Now, we have the athlete plate method. Remember, individual needs vary based on activity level, intensity, and duration. Experimenting and finding a fueling category that works best for you is essential. Fueling category meaning different types of carbs, fats, and proteins. Consulting with an HSN nutrition coach like myself or Daniel can provide the personalized guidance here, but in of itself, the athletic plate method is going to be thirds. If you've heard me talk about plate method before, we've talked about a half of non-starchy carbs like veg, then you have a quarter of the plate lean protein, quarter of the plate starchy carb. Now we're going to be turning it into thirds. So a third of your plate is non-starchy, third is lean protein, third is starchy carbs. And you'll just be mindful of your healthy fats. Having mostly whole foods will provide more vitamins, minerals, and fiber to improve overall energy and recovery. So as we move on, here are a few things to note. Fueling for performance does take attention to detail and some timing. But once you've nailed down the basics, you'll have a solid foundation to enhance your performance. So keep these key tips in mind as you get started. Don't leave out essential carbs. Plan your pre-workout meals. Hydration is key. And when in doubt, use the plate method to fuel up. Now, we'll talk about energy expenditure. Have you heard the saying, calories in, calories out? This is a general rule that if we take in more energy in the form of calories than we expend, we will gain weight. The opposite is also true in that if we take in less energy than we expend, we'll lose weight. So you may be wondering if this rule is true, then why is eating less not always the answer? Well, it turns out that many factors will influence that simplified equation. So I want to begin by explaining some of the factors that may alter intake. First is your appetite. As obvious as it might seem, your appetite is affected by hormones. You have two main hormones we'll be discussing today, which are called leptin and ghrelin.